All right, we're back again. This is our last week with rational functions, actually. So last week with fraction problems. We're solving equations this week. First couple, I got 7 examples total for you. First couple are going to be proportions. That means one fraction on one side, one fraction on the other. We'll start off with a pretty basic one here, and then we'll go from there. So proportions. First thing you can do with these is you can cross multiply. You may have seen this before. All we do is 1 times 8, then 2 times x, and then set those two parts equal to each other. You don't necessarily need to show this step here. I would like to see this portion here, 8 equals 2x, divide by 2 on each side, and then you have x equals 4, and you're done on that one. Alright, so nothing crazy there. Next. Same idea, cross multiplication. You do 9 times the x, 6 times the whole thing, x minus 7. So we have that. You distribute the right side, or whatever side you put it on. It doesn't matter what side you put those two on, as long as they're set equal to each other. Then you just work on getting x by itself. So you subtract 6x, divide by 3. Eventually you get x equals negative 14. So you're good to go there. Next one, last one with proportions, cross multiply again, but on this one you got a FOIL. FOIL both sides, get x squared minus 1 on one side, x squared plus x minus 6 on the other. If you try and move the x squareds, they end up canceling out, so that's good. That means no factoring. You're not going to have to factor anything I give you this week, so x squareds will always cancel this week. Next goal with that is to get x by itself, so just add 6 to both sides, you get x equals 5. So we're good there. So those are 3 proportion examples. You'll have a couple like that on the worksheet as well. Now we move on to the more difficult types on these last couple. We now have more than 2 terms as I have written there. What we're going to do is we're going to multiply by the lowest common multiple. Think about what we did with adding and subtracting, something similar. 10 and 20, the lowest common multiple is going to be 20. So we're going to multiply every single term by 20. So we treat 20 as 20 over 1. We simplify each term. 20 cancels out to 10, you're left with 2. 20 knocks out the 20, left with 1, or just x. Then you have to actually multiply 3 times 20. You rewrite what's left over, so what's left over is 2x plus x equals 60. Combine like terms, 3x equals 60, divide by 3, x equals 20. This first step is the most important. It's the hardest step. If you make it through that, you're just fine moving forward. Everything else is combining like terms, adding, subtracting, dividing. That's it. Check out a couple more here. 3, 12, and 4. Lowest common multiple between those is going to be 12. So you multiply every term by 12. Again, treat it like 12 over 1. These 2 steps are virtually the same step. I'm actually just showing it crossed out in the second one. 12 knocks out the 3. You're left with 4. So you have 4 times x minus 5 left over. 12 knocks out the entire 12 here, so you're left with just x minus 38. Then 12 knocks out the 4, you're left with 3, so 3 times x. Distribute, combine like terms on the right side. So I just clean things up. I distribute, combine like terms on the right. Then I have 1x on each side, 1 constant on each side. Do what you want. Just get x by itself. So I personally added 2x to both sides, and then therefore I added 20 to the other side. So I got 6x equals negative 18. From there it's pretty easy, I hope. X equals negative 3. 2 more. These ones look a little bit more difficult just because they have something more on the bottom, but these have the same term on the bottom. It's just x minus 4. So x minus 4 is our common multiple. So x minus 4 is what we multiply everything by. So on this one, You just got to watch yourself on what's left over. The x minus 4's cancel out completely. So nothing's left over on these first two terms. So it's just 2x equals 3. But then we have this negative 3 times an x minus 4. So we got to distribute that negative 3. Treat it as a negative 3. So it's negative 3x plus 12. Combine like terms. Work on getting x by itself after that. Add 3x to both sides. Divide by 5. X equals 3 is your answer. Alright. Last one. Same type of problem as this one. Just an extra one to go through. That's all. X minus 3 is your bottom term. So that's your common multiple as well. So we multiply everything by the x minus 3, even the 2. Alright, the 2 gets multiplied by the x minus 3 as well. It doesn't matter where you put the x minus 3. I just realized I put it in 2 different spots, but it's the same thing. X minus 3's cancel on the ends. Nothing gets canceled here, so I'll have to distribute the 2. 2x minus 6 is what I end up with. Combine like terms. Get x by itself, so I subtract 2x personally. Negative x equals negative 8. If negative x equals negative 8, x just equals 8. So that's what we got. So, as usual, this week we have that. I'm going to give you the answers that you can check yourself on. I need to see the work as usual. And as always, if you guys have questions, just hit me up throughout the week. Alright guys, have a good week. See ya.